9:09 here, Big 550 KTRS. The board meeting is in session. Our panel of guests are as follows. Attorney, political consultant, all-around gadfly, former chief of staff to Governor Holden. Good morning, Jane Duker.
Good morning, gentlemen.
He is currently the House Majority Leader, and if he wins his election, he is the odds-on favorite to be the Speaker of the House in the House of Representatives down in Jefferson City. Good morning, John Diehl Jr.
Good morning, McGraw. Thanks for having me on.
Attorney, filmmaker, among his award-winning movies, soon to be released, Marshall the Miracle Dog, all-around gadfly, attorney, and reform politician. Good morning, Jay Kanzler.
Good morning.
Marshall the Miracle Dog is set for release here in St. Louis?
Well, it's set for a screening on November 16th at the St. Louis International Film Festival, the Tivoli, 2:45 family movie, Sunday afternoon. Tickets will go fast. Go to the St. Louis International Film Festival website for more information.
Are you going to have a red carpet? Do I have to get a tuxedo and find a date? And
you do. The
talk to my
tuxedo will be
publicist?
Easy. The date, not so easy for you.
I was going to say.
That's enough out of you.
Sorry.
Let's start with Jane Duker. Jane Duker, Christine Byers, the Post-Dispatch, posted a story late yesterday afternoon in which she talked to a witness in the grand jury. What are your thoughts as you read that story and watch what's going on with this grand jury?
Well, the one thing that's interesting about it is, first, there's nothing in the law that prevents a witness who testifies before the grand jury to coming out of their testimony and saying everything that they said. So while these proceedings are secret, a witness can come out and say whatever they want, and this one did. So there's nothing improper about it. There's nothing inappropriate about it. And so if other witnesses wanted to come forward and talk to the press, they're free to do it. This witness spoke under, demand of anonymity. And so I thought it was fascinating. And it does show you witness testimony is probably an identification, and testimony generally is some of the most sort of unreliable, because you can have 10 different people see something and have 10 different stories as to what happened. And that's why it is so important for everyone to wait and see all the evidence and hear all the testimony, because there's going to be problems. There's almost always likely problems with a witness's testimony. That's not uncommon in the law. It's not uncommon in litigation, criminal, civil. And so, again, it adds to the mix, but it doesn't solve any problem.
Right.
It doesn't give you any further information.
Well, it gives us information in that his hands weren't up; his hands were by his side.
That's what this person said.
That's what this person said. This person
Yes.
said that Michael Brown was staggering back towards the car,
And that, I guess, shots were not fired until Michael Brown actually turned around, which contradicts some other witnesses' testimony.
right? But is consistent with the autopsy that was released, that he was shot from the front.
Possibly, yes. Possibly.
This is the first time where we have any evidence of a shot being fired in the car.
Well, a confirmation of it. I
Right.
think people thought that there was a situation where there was an altercation over the gun in the car.
And not to say any of this is accurate. The only point is that this is a witness who testified in front of the grand jury.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the witness could have come back and said, I didn't. There was no this and that. That doesn't mean that it's true. This is just what this one witness said.
Well, and again, it illustrates that there's going to be a lot of evidence presented, and the evidence is not done being presented. And for all we know, the investigation's not over. Even though evidence has been presented to the grand jury and has been on an ongoing basis, doesn't mean that the police and FBI and other law enforcement are not continuing investigation. And in fact, I did read on CNN that Prosecutor McCullough said that they were still having trouble getting witnesses to testify, and that they may have to use subpoena power to get some of these witnesses. So that says to me the investigation is not even complete yet, much less presented to the grand jury.
Jay Kanzler, what do you think as you watch this?
Well, yeah, I thought the interview was interesting. I thought that we have heard rumors of this story before from people out on social media that maybe have had some contact with the police. It was consistent, I think, with the story that the officer is allegedly giving. So I thought it was interesting to hear a different side of the story. I agree with Jane that there will be many sides of the story. The thing that it impresses upon me is that at the end of the day, we have to wait for the evidence. And the evidence is, the story is not what Jamila Nasheed says, 5 minutes after an event takes place. We're so used to these days listening to people spout off inaccuracies and just statements, rhetoric that are then taken as fact. Facts are what are gathered from people, and there are going to be inconsistencies, and there are going to be two sides to the story. And at the end of the day, our system is set up to gather up all that information and then make a decision. But again, why don't we wait and allow that process to happen? Why do we have to protest, and why do we have to jump to conclusions an hour, 90 minutes, a day after these things happen, when it takes a month, 2 months, 6 months to really complete a thorough investigation?
John Deal.
Yeah, the most important thing we can do here is have a thorough investigation. Thorough doesn't always mean quick. And I think around this round table, I think we've all been, preaching from day one to be patient, let all the facts come out, don't jump to conclusions until the process has a place to play out. I did think it was kind of interesting about and I'm always skeptical of people who only speak on the condition of anonymity, because other people have put their name to
Right.
what they saw or didn't see. One of the things interesting about the story, it says he would not detail what he told the grand jury, but then goes on to detail
What he said about the grand jury. Well, we talked to Christine Byers earlier today. She said that he fears for his safety.
He lives in Canfield Green.
Yeah, and he feels for his safety, and so therefore he was willing to talk to her. However, he said, "You cannot tell people who I am."
Yeah.
Now,
Which again illustrates why people have been complaining vociferously about the idea of a grand jury, and because it's in secret and no transparency, and if witnesses are being intimidated such that they don't want to say their name, or they're going to have to be subpoenaed to be brought in, shows you that to get to the truth sometimes, the grand jury process might be the best way to get to the truth right now, because people are in fear of
There are people
testifying.
that have prejudged this, and probably some up in that neighborhood, that are refusing to accept anything short of their version of the stories.
And when
so-
something is prejudged, you then see all the facts, or more importantly, go back and recollect all the facts to justify
right.
how you.
The question
that's
is,
what I'm
you find the facts to support your opinion.
Right.
We're sitting with three classically trained, world-class lawyers, and when we come back, I want to ask the question. Don't laugh at that. Jane Duker, John Deal, and Jay Kanzler on the board meeting, and we're going to ask this question: why is it that the shooting in the Shaw neighborhood, they're releasing information instantaneously as they get it, but in the Michael Brown shooting, they are withholding it all? We'll talk about that juxtaposition next. But first, let me tell you about Window World Windows, because at Window World Windows, ladies and